Hey guys, welcome back to another impressions video on yet another side-scrolling platforming game. This time around for Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo, a childhood favorite of mine. I was kind of like inspired by the button mappers. They did a map out video detailing their journey through this game, and I decided to, I haven't played Donkey Kong Country, the first one in a while, so might as well fire it up and relive some of my best memories from childhood playing this game. I did it through the Switch online service, playing with the actually with the Super Nintendo controller that I showed you guys on a pickup video. It was a pretty fun experience actually having the actual Super Nintendo controller and playing the game. It was a fantastic experience reliving one of my favorite games of the Super Nintendo, Donkey Kong Country, which is a staple game in my opinion for Nintendo in general. Back in 1994, things were pretty even in the console war, between the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo. And I remember, because I was there, guys, it brings a lot of memories, just the console war at that time. But 1994, at the end of 1994, when the holiday season came out, and this game was announced and shown, I remember there was no internet back then. It was all the pictures were in magazines, and I remember me and my buddies were just completely floored when we first saw the pictures, and we could not believe that this was a Super Nintendo game. And I truly believe that Donkey Kong Country 1 is the game that took that, I guess, took the Super Nintendo just above the Sega overall. And in my opinion, I may be a little bit over, I guess, overreacting here, but I think this is one of the very hard hit blows that Sega had to deal with, because this game, being a Super Nintendo title, I think it looked much better than most like Sega CD and 32X games. You had all these contraptions that Sega came out with back in the day, and their objective was to showcase graphics. I believe Sega was always pushing for better graphics. They were doing a lot of trash talking in their commercials back then. Their processing power or whatever. It was just a constant push on behalf of Sega to have better graphics and more realistic experiences than Nintendo. And then Nintendo or Super Nintendo, Rareware, for the most part, all of a sudden just came out with this incredible technology using the silicon graphics, computer, and just blew everyone away. So tons of memories of me and my buddies just looking at the magazines, looking at the pictures, and we were like, is this for real? Is this game really gonna look this good? And then when the game came out, and I remember my uncle and aunt, they bought the Super Nintendo system that came bundled with the game, because I would visit them often every summer vacation. I would come to their place, and they bought a Super Nintendo for me so that I would play whenever I visit them. And they bought the bundle that came with the game, and oh man, I remember playing this over and over again. And I think the victory of Donkey Kong Country, it's not only in terms of its graphics, which were leading technology. It was a leading technology back then for the graphics, but also in the presentation of the game. The very clean screens, without the HUD being crazy looking like a lot of the games back then. This game was very revolutionary in terms of how to present a game, very minimalistic. At the time, it was something very fresh. The menus were very simple. The fonts that they used, everything was very clean and just allowed you to be immersed in the beautiful graphics. So story-wise, the story was also very simple, very appropriate for a platformer of the times. But basically, King K. Rool, steals all the bananas from Donkey Kong, and it's your job to to defeat all the baddies and get all the banana horde back into the DK's possession. So very interesting game. And then of course you set up on a journey through the Donkey Kong Country island. I guess that's the setting of the game. And then talking about the soundtrack, I mean, David Wise, he's a staple in the industry, but this was kind of like his, I believe it was his first like game where he shined, through some memorable soundtracks and incredible sound effects too that really immersed the player in this fantastic world. Graphically, I already talked about I guess the innovation of this game, but just to add to the graphics, I think the triumph of this game is that the sceneries were varied. There was a lot of variety. You had the jungle setting, the temple settings, caves, industrial settings. The underwater levels were so beautiful, the ice caves, the minecart levels. There was a lot of variety, so it wasn't just like a one-trick pony type of game. It had a lot of different levels to showcase the true power of the Silicon graphics, and I think Rareware did just a phenomenal job in creating these worlds that were very they felt very real. The Donkey Kong Country, like I guess island, felt very real with all the different types of caves and jungle settings that you were able to explore. Just a fantastic way that they made use of the graphics, and things like the I guess the dynamic weather, for example. Some levels like the snow levels, at the beginning of the level it's just kind of like a very light snow, and towards the end of the level it's snowing a lot, or a level where you start with good weather and then it starts raining and thunders in the background. Fantastic, revolutionary at the time. It was just a mind-blowing experience and game. And even today, obviously the nostalgia, I guess, glasses that I have, they make me see a beautiful game. Obviously graphics have improved vastly, but for someone that has lived through it, I'm so grateful to have been there. I know I probably sound like an old fart, but it was a very fantastic memory that I have from my childhood, and I'm glad I was able to experience it. And it's a beautiful thing, reliving and replaying this game and just experiencing this game over and over. It never gets old. Lastly, regarding the gameplay, it's another area where the game really shines, and at the time it was a very interesting game. I really like the concept of the speed of the game. This feels like a game that flows very well. The placement of the enemies in the game, they make sense. You can use the roll mechanics from either Diddy or Donkey Kong. Donkey being kind of like the heavy character, and then Diddy being the nimble and quick character. There was very nice, I guess, contrast between the two characters that allowed you to switch between them. If you needed speed, you pick Diddy. If you need a little bit more brute force for some of the enemies, you play as DK. So it was just a very fun mechanic, and the flow of the levels are fantastic. Something that I think a lot of platformers were not able to achieve that flow and rhythmic mechanic up until, in my opinion, Rayman Origins came out, which is another game that has a very, very nice flow, almost like a rhythm platforming game where the placement of the enemies and the pits and the platforms is just beautiful. It's very well coordinated and orchestrated, and Donkey Kong Country was kind of like the first game where I saw that fantastic design, and that's something that I'll just never forget. Playing that game. And of course, a lot of the important features are the secrets. I guess the buddies, the animal buddies, like Rambi the rhino, the ostrich, the frog, Squawks, the parrot, and guard the dolphin, or the fish, whatever. That added more, I guess, variety to the levels, being able to use those animals. Just added another layer of gameplay, mechanics to the levels. And then you had other I guess things, kind of like the barrels, shooting from a barrel to the other, the minecart levels, those all those things combined added variety. And that's kind of like the triumph of this game. This game could have easily just been like a shiny eye candy for the time. But I think the redeeming factor of this game is that not only was a technical showpiece and a very important game, like graphically and from a technology point of view, but from a gameplay and level design perspective, this game also was a masterpiece. So it's definitely one of the best games of its time, in my opinion. And definitely I'm gonna I have that itch of replaying the other two games, Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest, and then Donkey Kong Country 3, which unfortunately are not available through the Switch Online system yet, at least. But hopefully they get added, so I can go back and just relive some of some memories that I have with those two games, especially Diddy's Conquest. The second game, that's another game that I have a lot of fond memories. The third one, not so much, but hopefully I can get to replay that game as well, because it's been a while. I think I played the third one when it very first came out. I remember I rented that game. I never owned it, and I beat it on a weekend, and I don't think I ever played that game since then. So I should probably get around to playing that game. But overall, Donkey Kong Country, the first game for the Super Nintendo, a fantastic revival of the DK character for Nintendo. A masterpiece for Rareware, that kind of made them shine, and they became a developer, and it forced Nintendo's hand. I think they bought like 50% of Rare, or 49% of Rare, because they were so impressed with their capabilities and skills of creating this game, that that says that's saying something. When Nintendo recognizes your talent, that's something that is very worthy, because Nintendo, when it comes to quality games and things like that, Nintendo definitely they know their stuff. So yeah, definitely one of my favorite games in my childhood, and still one of my favorite platforming games of all time. Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo, an iconic game and very important game in the industry, in my opinion. So I'm very glad to have replayed the game and share my impressions here with you guys. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all later. Take it easy.